What's up guys, I'm Chirag and welcome to part 5 of the tutorial series on Amazon WebSocket API Gateway tutorial. In the previous tutorial, I have taken you through how to test or invoke the WebSocket API using WS-GET utility, right? And now in this tutorial, we will create the custom route followed by the invocation of the same using payload, right? So before we move on, let's check if our API endpoint is up and running. So copy the WebSocket URL, navigate to terminal, say ws-get-c. Oops. ws-get-c, enter, and our API endpoint is running fine, right? So we are able to successfully connect to the WebSocket API. So Control C. Now, since we are going to create the new route, first of all, we will go ahead and create the Lambda function for that route, right? So navigate to Lambda Management Console. And once you are there, click on Create Function and give it a function name. So I will say on message. Select runtime as Python 3.8 within permission. Use an existing role. So here I'm going to select the role that I have created in one of the previous tutorial, right? So that's WebSocket _ lambda, and finally say create function. Now what we will do here is we will simply add a print statement for the event. So within the code console, say print event and save this function. Now once the function is created, go back to API Gateway, click on routes from the left panel. So I am within the API Gateway that I have created in the part 1 or the part 2 of this tutorial series, right? So it's the same API Gateway. So navigate to routes within whichever API Gateway you have created, right? So once you are within routes, here you will see the new route key option. So here say on message and click on this tick mark. So you can add any route you want. So while we are adding new route, we don't need $sign, right? So you can simply type on the text and click on that tick mark to add a route. So now we have on message, and on the right side, we are going to integrate the Lambda function that we have just created. So I will copy this Lambda function name. We will use proxy integration within Lambda function. We will say on message and say save. Okay. So this is how you can create multiple routes, right? So you can go ahead and add another route. So now the Lambda function is integrated with the on message route. Now since we have made few changes, we will say click on action and deploy API. Select the deployment stage, it's dev in my case, and say deploy. Now one more thing we will do is that we will navigate to Lambda function. We will edit this response. We will simply say on message route invoked and save this function. Now we have the Lambda function, we have the custom route, and we have deployed it. Now copy this WebSocket URL, navigate to terminal, clear this, say ws-get-c and paste the WebSocket URL, say enter. Now we are successfully connected with the WebSocket API, right? So now we can pass on the JSON message. So I will say action. So let me double check if the route selection expression is action. Yes, it is. action colon, I will say on message, enter. So now it is not returning anything, right? But our on message route is called. The reason is that we have not configured the response integration, right? So go back to API Gateway, click on routes, select the custom route that you have created, right? And once you are there, click on add integration response from the top right corner. So we will add it. And once you add the integration response, click on actions and say deploy API. Select the deployment stage and say deploy. Now let's go back to terminal and try again. So let's reconnect. Say action colon on message, enter. Now as you can see, it's returning on message route invoked. Oh, I have a spelling mistake over here, but that's okay. So this is how you can create the custom route and invoke the custom route using JSON messages. Now if I simply go ahead and pass on message, then it's going to invoke the default route. So as you can see, it says default route invoked. And again, if I pass non-JSON messages, then again it's going to invoke or call the default route, right? So it's necessary that you pass on the JSON message along with the correct route selection expression followed by the route key, right? So that's on message in our case. Now you can also do something like this. So let's say action. Now action is our route selection expression and on message is our route key mapping to invoke the desired route, right? Now along with that, we want to pass on few messages, few other parameters, then we can do that, right? So it's going to be like action colon on message, comma, and here you can pass multiple key value pair. So let's say message hello, then maybe some other parameter, right? And likewise. Now if I pass on this message, say enter, then it says on message route invoked, right? So now we can go back to the Lambda function within monitoring, say view logs in CloudWatch, and here we can fetch the messages from the event. So let me show you that. Now here we have log, so click on that. Now if you look here within body, right, so it says action as on message and then the other parameters that we have passed, right? So message as hello and other and parameter, right? So this is how you can pass on multiple parameters along with the single message, right? Now apart from that, we can also delete or remove connect and disconnect route, right? So if we go ahead and delete all the default route that comes with the API gateway or the WebSocket API, that is connect, disconnect and default, then also it's going to work, right? So it's not mandatory, as I said in one of the previous tutorial, that we should have connect and disconnect route, right? But it's kind of recommended to have connect and disconnect route to perform certain actions on connection and perform certain action on connection closed, right? And default route is kind of recommended because in case the client or user is passing some other value or some dummy stuff, then you can always go back and say that this is invalid message or invalid payload, right? So that's where default route will help. Right, so that's all I wanted to cover in this tutorial. So probably in the next tutorial, we will go through on how we can push the message back from server to client, right? So we will try to simulate something. So we will pass on hello from the front end and we will try to pass on the response from the servers saying hello, how are you? kind of thing, right? So it's kind of a conversation. So that's what we are going to cover in the next tutorial, right? And till that time, as usual, if you want me to do tutorial on any use case or service, then please leave them below and I will try my best to come up with the tutorial as soon as possible. And if you have any queries or comments, then again please leave them below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.